What is up, everybody, and welcome to the Mind, Body, and Pockets podcast, where we take lessons learned from people in the marching arts community to help you level up your life. I'm Eddie.
And I'm Paula. And on this podcast, we're going to get to know the individuals who make up the marching arts community. They'll share their experiences in and out of the activity and the mental, physical, and financial lessons they've learned along the way. Today on the MVP podcast, we have Katie and Evan VanDoren. Katie is a band director at Vandegrift High School in Austin, Texas, and Evan has his own music arranging and consulting business, VanDoren Music. They're both on staff at the Santa Clara Vanguard, where Evan is the brass arranger and Katie is the Assistant Brass Caption Manager. They each marched 5 seasons with the Carolina Crown and have worked with many elite drum corps and band programs over the years. In this episode, Katie and Evan discuss the importance of working as a team with your significant other, how to stay organized with a busy lifestyle, and so much more. These two are incredibly talented, hardworking, and a great example of relationship goals in the music world. So please help us in welcoming to the podcast, Katie and Evan VanDoren. Hey.
Yes, the VanDorens.
They are here.
Welcome.
How are you guys?
Very good. How are you guys doing?
We're doing well, man.
You know, COVID. It depends on when people are watching this, but you know,
Yeah.
it's the weird land that we live in now.
Mm-hmm. It's been very interesting, but we're super excited to have you guys on the podcast. You know, we've had this idea of doing like a sort of a power couples in the activity segment, and you were, of course, the first that came to mind. So we had to have you. So thank you for agreeing to come on.
I don't know. That's a tall order. That's a heavy adjective.
No pressure.
Yeah, don't mess it up. But so we're gonna dive in. We're gonna get to some nitty gritty stuff, but I just want to kind of give a little background on the both of you guys for our listeners that might not know you. So I'm gonna start with you, Katie. You grew up in Austin, Texas. Talk about what that was like living in Texas. I've only seen Texas from the drum corps perspective, so I'd love to hear what it's really like. And how did you get into music?
Well, it is hot always. So, you know, you only live it in the summer. It's hot. You know, I love living here. I think it's great, the greatest state in the nation. You know, if you were to ask anyone who was born here, they would say the same thing probably. How I got into music, all my friends were doing bands, so I guess I was doing band.
A little classic peer pressure.
Yeah, I mean, I was a sports kid. Did everything not music. I didn't learn piano. I actually thought it was kind of dumb. And, you know, all my friends are doing trumpet, so I guess I'm going to do trumpet. And
of course.
Yeah, I mean, I honestly, my musical journey, I would say, didn't really start until I started doing drum corps. And I was like, oh, I kind of like this.
Mm-hmm.
All the way through middle school, high school. I did okay, but I was not I was a band kid, but not a music kid. I think Evan was the opposite.
That is true.
Yeah.
So you started on trumpet, and then when did you switch to horn or start playing horn?
Well, there's only one French horn in our beginner class and like 30 trumpets. And the French horn player was one of my closest friends. And I was like, well, I'll switch. I mean, it's like the same instrument. I think I was like last chair trumpet or pretty close. So I was like, well, you know, maybe this will go better. And worst case, I'm second chair, you know, I'm not going to play. So I switched to French.
You were just being competitive. That's what you've never told me that before.
Oh, well, all the secrets are out tonight.
Exclusive information.
I switched to French horn.
Makes total sense.
Yeah.
You know, some kids are really super motivated and they're just into it. And sometimes you almost stumble your way into something that maybe like you probably didn't think you were going to be a band director when you were just starting out in middle school. And, you know, look where you are now. I think it's pretty cool that the path that you ended up on just by taking a chance. Hey, my friends are doing it. Yeah. I'll give it a shot. And hello, now it's your life. So it's pretty
thing.
Cool.
Yeah, that's so cool.
Yeah, that's it. And then I did drum corps, and the rest is history. And I started actually practicing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, kind of had to then. Yeah,
that's awesome.
Cool.
Evan, same question. What was it like growing up in the Northeast, Jersey guy, and how did you get into music?
Did you have a choice of getting into music?
Yeah,
is
true.
the first question.
I grew up in a drum corps family, right? So my dad Taught a lot of great brass lines, as we all know. And because of that, I saw from a very young age the kind of impact that he had on other people. And also, I thought it was super cool, like just being a little kid, just in awe of like drum corps and stuff, So I was sort of predisposed to that all along the way, and kind of leaped at any opportunity to do any music, anything at any point. So I did the piano thing, I did vocal lessons, I was actually the worst at trumpet for a while. Never got really that great at it, honestly. But it got me, all of those things all together kind of got me down the road. And, I spent a little time in the Northeast when Star of Indiana, which had become Brass Theater, became Blast. We were all kind of moved out to Southern Indiana, which is where I kind of spent my middle school, high school, college years. And then when it was time for me to start being a band director, I went straight to Texas as fast as I could. And so
smart man.
Yeah.
That was also, I feel in some ways total luck, but it was sort of a conglomeration of a lot of different things I've tried to take advantage of.
Honorable mention for the pup in the building. Let's get him in the frame for a second if we can.
Yeah.
Because he had to.
You ready? You ready?
Making his debut.
Ladies and gentlemen.
Cooper VanDoren.
Hi, buddy.
So cute, so fluffy. Thank you. Bringing joy to the millions and millions of listeners and watchers.
That was adorable.
So we can wrap it up now.
That's all. That's really all.
Thanks for joining us, ladies and gentlemen. That was so much fun. So let's talk about that a little bit now, because you guys are now further into your careers. You guys grew up and now in the music scene. You guys did you march Crown around the same time? And how did you guys end up meeting each other?
That's how we met. We met at Crown.
Oh.
So I was in school in Indiana, and Katie was still here in Texas. And my last year marching drum corps was her first year marching drum corps in 2008. So that's kind of where we crossed paths and met each other, and then the rest is history.
That's cool. That's a similar thing for us. My last year was his first year.
Yeah,
so.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
Awesome. Evan was the big bad drum major, and I was the kid on the field that barely played or instrument.
See, I knew I liked Katie. She was my horn sergeant, and I was the guy that forgot his towel all the time. So.
Yeah.
How the tables have turned. No.
I love it.
That's awesome. Just really random, but I found out, Evan, that you marched Lehigh Valley Nights, and in 2004, I think that was our last year. But I was living up in the Allentown area. I was working at the YA office, and I ended up teaching like a couple of camps. That was my first drum corps teaching ever. I was still marching, but I was teaching Lehigh Valley Nights.
Seriously. There's another place that we just barely missed each other.
Yeah, like by what, a year?
Crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah,
super random.
Only existed for 4 years total. Yeah. I did the first 3, and then I went to Crown.
Wow.
Insane.
What a small world.
Great news that drum corps guy. I mean, those people were just their hearts of gold, and everyone was just trying really hard to do everything that we were at every level. Everyone was just trying hard to create a good experience and be good. And it was, for me, it was perfect. I was like 14, 15, 16 years old. Really good, really at anything. And, I, from a maturity level and a skills level, I was like right in there with that drum corps. And it was a blast. I have so many positive memories from my open class experience there. It's great.
I love that.
That's awesome.
I'm so glad you mentioned that, because I marched a similar drum corps, Cadets in New York City. That was like that Div 2, 3. And I just fit in the mix over there, and had it not been for that, who knows if I would have went anywhere else to do anything music related.
So were you guys in the same division?
I guess so,
you
yeah.
might have been competing against each other.
When did we march Cadets in New York City?
01 to 04 they folded?
Yeah, we were literally in those drum corps.
Oh, yeah, we're on the same field. What years did you march?
01 to 03.
Dude.
That's insane.
Wow. Small world.
So old.
Jeez.
Yeah, they are. I mean, Katie,
Back in my day.
Yeah.
But I love what you said about the experience and creating that great experience. And I'd love to talk to you both about becoming a band director and now wanting to produce that experience for others. So what motivated you to want to go in that direction? And what is that lifestyle like for you guys when you were band directors?
Yeah, I think I might be one of the, I don't want to say one of the few, but music was not what pushed me into being a band director. Again, I wasn't a music kid. I think I was a marching band kid, which to me, they are different, I use band and music as a way to get to kids and teach them how to be accountable and to be responsible and have integrity and all those important, I say skill sets, but character traits that maybe aren't taught anywhere else these days. And I don't want to say that negatively, but the music side is very important, but it's not what drives me to get to all the kids. Because I think that, we have 4 bands at our school, and I think the top band and most of the second band students are music kids. They love music and they're driven by a musical experience. But I think there are a lot of students who join band and who join marching band, even drum corps, where it's not the music that gets them, it's the camaraderie, it's the artistry behind it. Maybe it's the physical experience, it's the competitive nature. We don't talk about competition, but there are kids that are driven by that. So, I love that band can get to everybody. And as I've gotten older, the music part has become way more important to me. And I definitely now find myself to be a music person. And I'm glad that I'm now able to see both sides and kind of get to all the kids where, when I started and when I got into it, it was definitely more the coaching, leadership, student centered side of it that got me excited and wanting to help kids kind of find and love band for whatever reason it is. But, I love it because it is for everybody. Band and is for every single person, whether they are the smartest kid in the school or maybe a student that has a handicap of some kind. You can find a way to get to them, and that's not necessarily true of everything. So that's what I love about it, and that's what got me into it.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, that's beautiful. And just, a lot of people focus just on the music, so hard on the music that the other things kind of fall by the wayside, but you realize that that's honestly more important than the music in the grand scheme of a student's life. They're going to grow up, they're going to go on. Not everybody's going to stay in music. They're going to be doctors or whatever they end up going to do. The lessons that you're able to help them learn and that culture that you cultivate within the band is what's going to stick with them. And I think that's so awesome that you realize that and focus on that to help really feel everybody, have everybody feel included and find their place. You're like a unicorn, basically. So.
I don't think you can call me.
That's how I think of her. I think of her.
Right? Okay. See.
I also think that there's an element to all this where we are trying to create lifelong music lovers that I was missing as an early teacher, but I had a lot of people around me kind of show me that it's more than just what I thought it was, and kind of help me see that, okay, well, we can find a way to get these kids that aren't musically driven yet to be music lovers and music consumers forever.
Right.
So I would never say that. I will always say that this is one of the best activities a kid can be a part of. Mm-hmm. I know I'm biased.
Yeah, same.
Sure.
Evan, same question. What really got you motivated into actually pursuing this as a profession?
Follow that, Evan.
Well, first of all, I learned a long time ago that any efforts to one-up my dear wife would be severely shortchanged, regardless of my level of effort.
Repeat that, folks. Say that again for the people in the back.
I would not attempt to overshadow that answer, but I will tell you my perspective. It was really it started with my dad, seeing the impact that he was able to have on others and how that continued on over years. And I just wanted to have that kind of impact on other people, that kind of positive impact, That was sort of like the germ of the idea, and then I was so enamored by music in general and did so many different things that it seemed only logical for me to become a music teacher of some kind, And I guess I gravitated towards band. I think I gravitated towards band just probably because of my drum corps experience. That was just where I felt like as a human, like that was just kind of where I fit. Maybe, I don't know if that was like my nature, or if that was like the nurture of growing up in my parents' house, and like all of those things together just made me more predisposed to the typical culture of what band is, but I ended up going that way. And of course, when, I got lucky and I ended up in Texas and at a great job like the Cedar Park High School job, it was like, I wasn't so far over my head that I almost didn't even have the opportunity to consider whether or not I liked it. I just wanted to be good at it. So like, it was just just how fast can I learn to be good at this level? Because I was just severely underprepared. But, as I grew into that role, I was able to kind of, see more in others, see more in myself, work together better with both students and other teachers. And I felt like over my 9 years as a band director, the quality of the experience to which I was able to contribute got better every year. I actually think for me personally, my strongest semester teaching and the one that I feel the best about was my very last one. It was and it was only because of all the things that the students that I had taught me about, what really mattered through all of the experiences that we had, the togetherness, the culture, the camaraderie, the things that made kids want to keep coming back to band, that then made them more open to being educated about the things that I cared about in music and all the other types of the things that we're trying to get kids to take on and become lifelong, appreciators of music, So, but it was definitely a journey, and I would say that it for sure started with my dad.
Shout out to Donnie.
DVD.
Yep. Awesome.
It wasn't my mom. She swore off music early on. My mom was in the 1979 Crossman, which came in 13th at DCI finals. And when she didn't get to march in finals for that year, she said she would never be involved in drum corps ever again. Wow.
Shout out to mom.
Now, I believe she is one of the doctors on the committee to try to get drum corps to reopen again. So,
wow.
And of course, her entire family's involved in it.
Shout out to the VanDorens. Yeah. That's awesome.
Incredible. I'm just curious, when you guys, because there was a period of time where you were both band directors, different schools at the same time.
Meeting rival schools.
Rival schools. Yeah. That's intense.
I call them sister schools because we definitely came from you guys.
I didn't realize that you were both band directors at rival schools at the same time.
Many a football game against each other.
Actually, the football game that you just participated in on Friday was Vandegrift against Cedar Park, the school that I taught at.
Wow.
They're neighborly schools, to say the least.
Wow. I have so many questions, but I guess to unpack that a little bit for us, if you could take us back to the time where you were both band directors at rival schools, what was that like? What was that experience like while you were doing that together?
Exciting. It was exciting. There was just a lot going on, and we were so much younger, whatever. It was like 3 years ago. So we were, you're in your 20s, your first job, my first and second job, like you just go. And we didn't spend a lot of time at home.
Yeah, being two high school band directors at schools like the ones that we taught at, it's just insanity. The schedule was unbelievable.
Well, we pretty much had the same schedule, luckily, but it was just a lot, and we both loved our jobs. I still love my job.
I loved my job.
He loved his job when he was there, and it doesn't feel like a job, and we're workers. I don't want to say that implying that someone is not, but I like getting there early. I like getting having a lot of projects and spinning plates. I like being involved in different things. I like having lots of rehearsals. Like, to me, that's really fun. And I know some people are thinking like that's crazy, like you need to be more balanced with your life. It's like, to me, our life is balanced. I think it just depends on what you enjoy and what brings you joy. We spend a lot of time together now. We just spent 5 months straight together. Most we ever spent. But when we were both working, we worked a lot, and he was getting his business started,
Yeah, well, the other thing that I think is not totally unique to band in North Austin, because this certainly exists other places, but I will say that I think the level to which this happens in North Austin, in the district that we worked in specifically, is pretty unique. Is there is a level of cooperation and coordination and collegiality between and genuine friendship between all of the band directors at all of the schools, middle school and high school, in Leander ISD, and even in this region, but specifically in the school district that both of our schools are in. That's pretty remarkable. And I'm not exactly sure how or when that started. And for sure, when it comes to the competitive things, the band directors do want to beat the other band directors at those things a lot. But there's a friendship there that's really, I mean, it's significant.
It makes it, I don't say it makes it easy, but it makes it much more enjoyable, I think, than most other places to work. Like if I needed help with something, I could call up anybody. At middle school, high school, my first UIL program was picked by a different band director at a different school. I needed help and they helped. I need a clinician, they'd come for free just to help because they want to help each other out. So I think that really did help too, that we were rival schools, but it wasn't we have to beat you or else. Or if I'm definitely the person that hates losing more than him. Like it wrecks me. I hate
Unless
it.
it's NFL football, then it's me.
Well, that's your own fault by choosing a team that, I mean, you knew what you signed up for, right?
Who they just tie with? Yeah. Anyway, so it was a lot, but it made it fine because we were able to help each other out, or like you can go to each other's band hall. And it's not like, oh, who's that? It was more like, oh, it's Miss Rozaki, or whatever.
That's awesome. And that's what I think part of the reason why that area is so successful, because everyone's willing to help each other out, because at the end of the day, everybody wants everyone to succeed. We want band in general to be great and succeed. So there's no point in, the petty stuff and all that. Like, let's work together. Let's help each other out when we need it. And it's just kind of building a tight-knit community, which is great.
I think everyone realizes it's about the kids. It's not about my trophy.
Right. Yeah.
That's so refreshing to hear, because you don't hear that very often in many places, and it shows in Texas, especially that specific area. And yes, there's a lot of other places that does it, but you guys, it's clear that you guys are in it together. From top to bottom, middle school to the high school level, it's clear that everyone's in it together and just wants to see the kids win, and that's beautiful. Not the case in all places.
That is very true. So staying on the topic of band, Katie, you're still a band director, the very successful program, and a crazy schedule. I'm just curious if you have any tips or advice first of all, I'd love to know what your process is when getting ready to start a new week, like setting up your schedule, what you like to do, and then if you have any tips or advice for maybe a new band director on how to not be overwhelmed.
Well, I think for new band directors, you're going to be overwhelmed. It's a lot. You're coming out of college, and you are expected to be responsible for other adults and students and administrators. Like you're going to be overwhelmed, but it makes it worth it because we see the kids every day. What is how do I deal with my schedule? I personally, I've got a lot of stuff going on. Everyone's got a lot of stuff going on, but I do my best work when I am able to get my things done before the rest of the staff gets there. And then I can be I'm able to help others and help the kids instead of being so in my own head about what needs to get done. It puts me in a better place. So I actually get there really early. I wake up every morning and work out, and then I go to school I leave here between 6 and 6:30, and I get my stuff done. The staff people start showing up around 7:15, 7:30, both private lesson staff, unusual year. This is really weird, right? But we have rehearsal starting between 7:15 and 7:30, and then we go. And I like what that allows me to do is come home at the end of the day. Like when we're done, I don't feel like I need to stay and get something done because I was able to get that stuff done in the morning. And, he's at home all day. So the last thing I want to do is stay late. I'm already at school late. So if I'm staying even later,
yeah.
then I come home and I was like, all right, gonna eat dinner and go to bed, so I'd rather get there early when, maybe he's gonna sleep in or he's got stuff to go on in the morning versus at night. We can kind of hang out.
I like it.
It's a great way to set it up.
Definitely.
Yeah. Evan, what's the difference for you now that you are no longer a band director? How's that schedule changed?
Oh, how does that schedule change? Well,
well, first of all, there's no routine in this household. The only person who has a routine is me, and Evan's routine is that he changes his routine weekly. Go ahead. We just spent a lot of time together, everybody, in COVID. I realized that I'm extremely rigid with my time, but somebody is not.
I'm gonna insert like a sip emoji every time you're just like.
Well, here, let's just walk that back a second. So
Sorry.
So this is year 3, I think. This is year 3 for me, the third fall that I've not been a band director. And it was sort of, it was very eye-opening for me when I did not have the construct of the school day and the responsibilities of a band director. Sort of like when you're in that role, there's a lot of things that are decided for you. And the amount of time that you actually have completely free choice for how you're going to use the time is very small pockets of the day. So when here I was thinking that like I would have no trouble organizing my time because I've always been an organized person, always been a schedules, a list person. That's always been me. I thought I would have no issue with that at all. Fast forward to my first, once I finished the drum corps summer and we were into the fall, Katie was going to school and I was just sort of having like a brief moment of celebration of this new life that I had created for myself. And I thought, well, once that wears off, I'll start to kind of work on where I'm going next. Because it was, of course, the time of the year in the fall when, as a wind arranger for marching band, not a lot of work to do for that specifically at that time. So it was really like August 15th to like early November was kind of, besides me going out and doing some clinics, it was kind of wide open, So, and by the time I mean, it was like this, and it was already like October 15th or November 1st. And it was time to kind of get the ball rolling and ready again. I was like, oh crap, where did all that time go? And I never could quite figure out how to I had all these things that I wanted to do, but I couldn't quite figure out how to get moving in a direction because it was so wide open. There were so many decisions to make that I ended up making none, So that was an eye-opening one for me. So I went into the next year 2, last year, I was ready to okay, I'm not going to let the same thing happen again. I'm going to really focus in this period of time when I have more time to kind of decide how I'm going to work through the schedule of all this. I'm gonna really I'm gonna figure this out. I at least get closer. And then, shortly after the drum corps season ended, we got the calls from Scott Coder and the Santa Clara Vanguard. And then that just blew up everything in the best way possible, because then that sort of that consumed us for that time period again. So now here we are, year 3. It's weird because it's COVID and all that stuff, but now tons of time, right? So I'm still in the process, and I imagine we'll probably never be done with this process of learning how to create an environment where I'm going to produce my best work and to get things done consistently over time, in a way where I'm doing the things that are the most important things, and I'm working on things long term, and I'm also working on things short term, and just a lot of messing around with those things. So I feel like Katie's right. Every month or 2 months, I feel like I've stumbled on something that's was really successful for me. And then a week later, I find that maybe that there's something about that that's not as successful. So it's this weird balance of finding systems that work for me, but at the same time continuing to mess with them to make them better, but also trying to stick to one thing so that I can see whether or not that's actually going to work. So it's a learning process,
That's awesome. Yeah, that's an interesting progression too. I'm glad you rewound a little bit there, because there's a lot in there from just a learning aspect. Because what I gathered from there, just thinking back to your young days, even like Lehigh Valley Nights, Evan, all the way through drum corps, through that regimented system, where you're really focusing on the benefits of the program, the system that you're in, versus trying to create your own systems for your own lifestyle. That was mind blowing for me of like, yeah, that's a lot to figure out. And then bam, throw COVID on top. It's like, let me start again from scratch. But that's an interesting and very important progression right there.
So you mentioned Vanguard. Let's talk about Vanguard a little bit. First of all, congratulations to both of you. Evan, if you guys don't know that are listening, is the brass arranger, and Katie's assistant brass caption manager.
Congratulations, you guys.
It's incredible to see you guys both in the same place, and add some Donnie consulting in the mix. That's just incredible for that organization. Yeah. I'm excited for you guys.
It's been fun.
This guy is really good.
Yeah,
that's what I've heard.
It's been really fun. It's been really fun, and I like everybody. We were all devastated when the season got canceled. We're starting to really get some great traction. The team we had put together was really gelling, and the rest of the organization is just like, it's just incredible. So we're having a great time, and we've continued to stay involved since drum corps has shut down all the. We're one of many staffs out there in drum corps that volunteered their time to try to create experiences for their kids. So it's been fun to stay connected to it, and we're just looking forward to the future.
That's awesome, and thank you guys for doing that for the activity. That's so important. Same question, Katie. How are you liking the Vanguard experience? And from a scale of 1 to 10, how good is Evan's music?
Well, I don't know. I do. And I know that I got married and all that stuff, but I was, and I don't say I was surprised, because that's kind of rude, but I was really impressed with what he was able to create, because it. I knew he could write marching band music, but I was like, can you like write drum corps music? And which was something that I was like, I don't know, like, is he gonna write some sweet mellophone parts? Is he gonna? And the answer is yes. It's really good, and I was really looking forward to getting to work on and hear his music, because the little bit of time that we did get to, it was obvious that it's like this was gonna be really cool. So hopefully we get another opportunity soon-ish. But his music's a 10 out of 10.
I really already, I knew this going into taking the job, but like one of the things that initially just kind of bowled me over when considering this incredible offer was the design team that's already there. You got Paul and Sandy Rennick, who I could not say enough things about. You guys, I tell you really missed the mark if you're going for power couples. You're for sure not number one if they're in the conversation. They're incredible. Scott Coder, program coordinator, Michael Gaines, Andy Toth, Michael Rose. There's just like the table of people to sit with and like talk about ideas and get ideas from and bounce ideas off of. I almost felt and continue to feel in a way like there's no way that I personally could possibly fail with this, because I have way too many smart people around me to allow that to happen. You know what I mean? So it gives me, somebody with not anywhere near as much experience as the rest of the people in the design team, incredible confidence. And I really think that the quality of the work that I was feeling good about, in the short time that we did get to do that, is really just as much reflective of the rest of the design team as it is.
So beautiful to have. It's such a beautiful thing, because honestly, that's what I love the most about my time with you at Madison Scouts. It was the camaraderie of the actual group that was around us, and the ability to learn from each other. It's second to none. So you're not really thinking about winning or losing or any of that, because at the end we're all learning, and that's the true progression, and the students vibe with that so much. And when they see us working together, and I just love when those things actually combine with what you're saying. It's so cool.
Some people say that working with your spouse or your significant other, how can you do that? That must be so difficult. We've done this for such a long time. And to me, I look at it as it's like almost like a secret weapon. Oh, yeah. When you know how to work together and you're both really good at your craft and can help each other out. Like, I'm just curious, like with the writing process, do you keep it to yourself, or Katie, have you overheard some things and, without giving too much away, like, is there an open dialogue? Hey, I wrote this. What do you think? Like, does that ever happen with you guys?
I want to start with this. We do stay in our own lanes. And, you know, I am definitely more on the educational side, and that's where I want to stay. And, you know, I get to work with Mark and the rest of the team, and we get to do that and create the member culture and all the fundamentals and all. Like, that's where I live and breathe and love. And I have no desire to work on that side.
Mm-hmm.
I will say, I think that helps us at all times. What we do is we definitely have our own strengths and we know what each other's strengths are. He has no weaknesses. And if he tells you he does, he's being ridiculous, because he's, in my opinion, one of the greatest teachers of all time and should have stayed in teaching, but he also is a great writer. So we are just blown away by you all the time. But I do think that, you know, we do a good job as a team, because I know where I need to work, and I know when this is like, all right, this is something where I need to just let him do it.
Mm-hmm.
And he allows me to, like, if it's time to go, like, if it's time to work on something, it's like, okay, Katie, like, go Katie it. And we work well like that. We know each other's strengths. Go ahead, you can tell.
Well, I'll kind of answer your question with a story. So the first thing that I got to write for the Vanguard was some encore tunes. We were trying to establish the encore program, and trying to design it in a way where it was going to be not a lot of time to commit to encore stuff, but the time you do spend, particularly in the winter, you want to kind of serve the purpose of, you know, allowing you to work on the technique that you want to develop, right? And one of the things that we knew early on we wanted to do, really make big strides at quickly, was playing slower, rubato, softer, nuance, like just entering out of silence, those types of concepts. You know, I guess the more global way to say that would be, we want to work on being able to play ballad type things, right? To use an overused term. So we found a tune. We found this great pentatonics tune to turn into an encore tune. It was the first thing that I wrote. I think was that one, right? Yeah. So and I of course was extremely self-conscious about it. You know, Katie came home one day, and this is last year, like around this time last year. So it's, you know, marching band time, and Katie's, you know, she's cranking at school all day, and I'm sitting at home like lamenting over every note that I'm getting. So finally, I felt pretty good about it. So I showed it to her as the first thing, and you know, because I really honestly wanted her feedback.
And I said I liked it, that it was good.
Katie's very, very discerning with the way that music is written as it relates to how that's going to be performed. And she's just really good at looking at something and seeing the problems that may exist before they even are out there. And of course, I'm like very tunnel vision on what it is when I'm in the middle.
And it's like music. I'm like
so but that was the first experience where it's like she started like poking around at things, and eventually that just turned into like a 2-hour session of like the laptop's now on her lap, and I'm sitting here like, oh my God, I didn't do nothing.
For the record, I said, are you sure you want me to do this? Are you sure you want my opinion? And he said, yes, I want it. I said, okay.
And I did want it, but it hurt.
It wasn't 2 hours, but it was one of those moments where I realized, oh, okay, well, when he asked for that, I need to make sure. And I did ask. And you just need to say, I think it's really good. I want you to just listen. And now we know. Mm-hmm. Maybe he just needs to listen, and tell me I just need to listen.
Well, I was very thankful for all that feedback, because fast forward to the next day when I sat down, I worked on it for the day. I ended up really implementing just about all the feedback that she said, and it made it a lot better, you know. And then I took the feedback and I continue to carry it with me into other things, just like ever. So to your point, two things. You know, I think that we're both getting better at understanding what each other needs and understanding our strengths and weaknesses and how to continue to support each other while at the same time making each other get better. You know, and then number two, we're both just continue to be committed to getting better at what we do. You know, so any criticism or feedback is always just going to be, you know, more wood for the bonfire of getting better at whatever we're doing.
That was like the perfect bow too. Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's just it's different when, you know, if Katie, if you were I don't know, a psychologist, and you came home from work and Evan's like, I wrote this music, listen to it. And you're like, that's so good. You know, it's like that. There's a different a level of understanding, and you can actually give that feedback. And Evan, I think that's cool that you accept that feedback, and that's what helps to just, you support each other, which in turn brings you both up. And I love it. And we can relate to that a lot.
Absolutely. As soon as while you were telling that story, I just had so many stories in my head of just like, oh man, she's totally took the laptop so many times before and fixed my.
No,
like
you
dagger.
don't want to see me write drill.
Yeah.
No, he has done a good job saying like, this was I did this for this reason. I'm like, okay, well.
Yeah.
And he's right. Definitely is better. But if I'm teaching this to a high school kid, it's different than teaching it to a drum corps kid.
Yeah.
Right.
I have my excuses too for my writing. Paul has gotten really good about asking me very distinct questions to figure out what mood I'm in, of just like, oh, hey, check this out. She'll be like, okay, what do you want to know, basically? Are you asking me to analyze this, or are you asking me to tell you that it looks pretty? And it's like, yeah, just tell me I look pretty too.
What were you thinking during that transition? Yeah. Good times.
Good stuff. No, but I love that, Evan. I'm so glad you guys talked about that, because I started thinking about the way you guys work as a team, because that was your way of elevating each other too, like you're looking at each other's music, figuring out the best concept, because you know each other's strengths. You know that she's going to look at that and say, hey, maybe these are some things you have to look at before actually sending it off. Final draft, awesome, it sounds good, but here's the next notch of that, vice versa. So I'm curious of how you guys, I don't want to say fill each other's gaps, because I guess that's like as if someone's not lacking in something, but how do you guys help each other in and almost like alley-oop each other, like to help each other out, and like, here, pass the ball to each other and dunk it in?
That's a good question. I mean, we're pretty different people. I'll just start with that. We're not opposites. I mean, we're both really hardworking and dedicated and all those things, and both very type A. So I wouldn't say that we are drastically different, but when it comes to the things that we need, I work hard for short periods of time. Like if I'm working on something, I don't know how to explain it. Like I'm 100% focused on that, and that's all I'm concentrating on. Like I used to bring work home, and I couldn't shut anything off. And Evan, I feel like, can shut things off, and was able to be more patient with me and kind of help me with that sort of stuff. Like we've definitely gotten better as a couple with when we're home. Now I might have to work on something, or I might get a phone call, or my brain might get a weird email that I can't ignore. But he has helped me. I would say my biggest problem was that I couldn't leave work at work, and because I loved it. I loved work, and everything about it, and I liked feeling that constant grind. Like that was something that I really liked, but he didn't ever need that to feel that way. And I think that he helps me, kind of helped us be stronger as a couple by being able to tell me like, hey, like you don't have to feel that way all the time, and it's okay to kind of, he helped me kind of work through what I needed to do. Like that's why I go early in the morning, so I don't have to worry about it. Maybe.
Well, yeah. The other thing that I personally have the benefit of now, not being in that band director role anymore, is that I can get a little bit more away from the situation, and while still understanding kind of like what Katie may be experiencing on some level, I have the ability to see things from more of a bird's eye perspective, and go, I know that this parent email thing, like I get why this is under your skin right now, but like you don't actually have to do anything with this for at least 12 hours. like that, and that's but that's easy for me because I'm not actually in that. I remember when I was in that, how hard that was for me too, and how difficult it is for anybody who cares about the band program and their job like that. You know what I mean? So
you don't have any voids, you're perfect. So you don't have any voids, you're perfect.
I don't have any voids. I'm perfect.
With the hair flip.
No, I just hide my voids at home and work when Katie's not here to see them.
That's how you do it, folks. You guys both have your own schedules, your own set of responsibilities and things that you need to take care of, but you both so even though they're different, you both invest a lot of time and energy into your work. What are some ways that you invest in each other and your marriage through all that busyness?
Well, I mean,
Evan invests a lot.
No, I just have more. I have more time, and I'm just literally in closer proximity to things like doing the dishes and making the bed and all that crap. So I don't
dinner and
I don't mind doing it. That brings me happiness to like invest that way. I would say the thing that we spend time together. Like it's just time. Like, and we do any number of take the dog for a walk. There's a little aviary trail called the Audubon that's near our house that we'll go walk through sometimes. We both love watching sports, NFL, football specifically. Actually, I don't know why I love that, because we root for teams that are terrible.
Speak for yourself. My team's in way better shape than yours.
Let's get into it. What are the teams?
Are we not right now?
No, we're doing this.
I grew up a Dallas Cowboys fan.
America's team. Yep.
America's team. And Evan is a lifelong
Philadelphia Eagles.
Fly, Eagles, fly.
Fly, Eagles, fly.
Eagles.
We just tied the Bengals. I don't know how it can get worse.
Just very 2020 of you.
That's just a word. I don't know. Yeah.
Oh.
Is it too early to hope for a draft pick?
Right.
It's rough. Although I will say this, it's pretty amazing that the Eagles are 0-2-1, and they're still less than one game out of the lead for the NFC East. That's amazing.
Not shocking though.
So.
No, not at all. Do you guys do you play fantasy football together?
Oh, God.
Do we?
Uh-oh.
Yep, we do.
How's that going?
We play in 2 leagues, one with some friends around here and one actually with some friends from the Crown Brass and Visual Stats. Of course, the first week Katie and I were paired together, and she just royally stomped me. I had no chance at all.
And the second week
in the other league, we were paired up, and I lost there too. So
you're keeping up with the Eagles. It's just
I'm just really very consistent right now. Yeah.
It's all right. It's early, Evan. You can still turn it around. Gotta hit that waiver wire and figure it out.
Waiver choices. So some of those groups.
Don't believe Paula. She just wants to keep you in so she can beat you next year. That's why I don't play fantasy football anymore.
I don't know what you're talking about.
We find ways to spend time together. We'll spend time with friends, which is weird right now, but just like outside, sitting away from each other.
Yeah, I would say our love language is time. I don't have a lot of it, and when I do have free time, it's with him and other people. I know people probably have better answers than that, but we just try really hard with the time I do have to spend time together. He does everything in our family, and our family, it's our dog, it's our baby.
It's a family.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
But he does the dishes, he does the laundry, except for he doesn't do my laundry.
I do not touch. Mess that up.
He cooks, he cleans, he does grocery shops. It's it was one of those things when we were both teaching and I was the younger one and he was trying to start a business. Of course, I did it. It's whoever has the most time. And I do think, and I don't want to get too high on my horse right now because this is a whole nother conversation. But the idea of gender roles drives me nuts. I think it's whoever is available to do the thing should do the thing. And when he had 2 jobs, I was the one who had 1 job. I was the one who's available. And now that his job, he works all day long. But he has way more flexibility, so he does the stuff. And we share when we can. And but during marching season, no way. During COVID, when I was at home blippy blopping on my Zoom call, I had time. So I think in our family, it's not about like, oh, well, I'm the wife, so I'm going to do this. It's say who has the time, who's available, who's not. And if it's going to be a huge pain in the butt for me to go somewhere, then he does it. If it's going to be a huge pain for him to do it, he's got 3 calls lined up and I don't have anything, then I'll do it. And again, I'm going to just leave it there. And that's how we operate our lives.
No, I love it because it goes back to, you and I were emailing the other day and you said being a team in all things, that you guys are a team in everything you do. And it just goes right back to that. If you have the time to do something and Evan doesn't, you're going to do it because that's the best thing for each other, for the family. And I really admire that. And I think that's awesome. And I agree with you on the whole gender roles thing. Like if you're working together for the greater good of your relationship and your family, those are some of the things that you just should do. And it shouldn't be one person's responsibility all the time, regardless of the situation. You know, sometimes you just have to figure it out and balance it out, and everyone takes on what they can when they can. And I think that's awesome.
I love that.
For sure.
I take the trash every once in a while.
Every once in a while, she does.
I love that. That's kind of the same kind of model that we have here. You know, we don't, whoever has time to do the things. Now we also know who's better at what things. Like I will not put an iron in her hand ever. Like, it's just, I take care of that.
It's not my thing, guys. It's not my thing.
But she has her whole laundry list of things that she does significantly better than I can. And can I get by on some things? Sure. But we do what's best for the family. Who's going to get the job done the best and who has the time to do it. So I love where you guys are going with that. With the same thing that you're saying with the support and the time that you guys are spending together and disconnected from what you do professionally, what do you guys do to disconnect from even each other and have your own separate quality time for yourselves because your schedules are so hectic?
She reads a lot.
Yeah, I do. I read a lot. I read and I guess that's a lot. I don't watch TV. I like movies sometimes.
Katie's sort of she's sort of an escapist when it comes to novels. So like she likes to read things that are not realistic at all. Like
fiction
stories that she can totally forget.
Anything that's like a self-help book, I'm like
that's like my go-to. Yeah, and she's totally Harry Potter, Game of Thrones, like 9,000 pages in.
Yeah, never read Harry Potter, but big Game of Thrones fan. If you into that at all?
Oh,
what? No Harry Potter? I know. I can't believe I just said that to you.
I don't know why I did.
Yeah.
Hey, it's on film now. Can't take that out.
Yeah. So.
Yep. Well,
call her out, folks, in the comments.
Hey, it's all good. I have nothing against it. I just never really got into it. But
not yet. I heard it not yet.
Yes. So
that's what I do. I mean, Evan likes TV a lot.
I do like TV. I like movies. I like that media. I also really like listening to.
You do listen to a lot of
podcasts. Particularly right now, I am really into listening to like political or history or some blend of both podcasts. Because it's been, especially since I've had a little bit more time to get in more into that. It's been interesting. It's been really fruitful for me to just have a little bit more perspective on things in general by knowing more where we've come from on certain things. That's been great. So like I've really, if I was gonna like, in a nutshell, like the thing that I like most about the life that I have now is that I have the space to think about stuff now. In all capacities, I have the time to think. Because I read. Like not sort of self-help books, but like more informational type books. And then I try to do a period of time where I'm doing that every day. I spend a period of time where I'm listening to podcasts that are sort of history, political, that type of stuff every day. I try to spend time like experimenting with music or listening to new music every day. Just a space to think about ideas and concepts and things. It's just that for me, that's my getaway time. It just also happens to be the thing that I like doing also. The thing that's my job too. So
yeah, totally.
I mean, the only thing I'd say is with all this stuff, there's a lot of talk right now with young band directors talking about work-life balance, and I think it's important, but I also think there's an element of, if you want to be good, you're gonna have to work really hard, and you're gonna have to spend a lot of time perfecting your craft. We come out of college not prepared to teach. I think everyone who's a teacher would agree with that. You come out and you're like, all right, I'm excited. And you realize like, I have no idea what I'm doing. And if you end up in a great school where you're supported a lot, then, great, lucky. But most people don't end up in that situation. You have to go search for things. So I just, if you asked before, like advice for a young band director, and I realized I hadn't even said this, like you're going to spend a lot of time doing stuff. And, for us, I'm lucky that he gets it and that he understands what I'm doing and why I'm doing it and why it's important. But I think if you don't have a spouse like that, it can be really hard. But if you want to be really good at something, regardless of what it is, you're going to spend a lot of time doing it. We just end up as teachers. We're all teachers of some kind. And at some point, like you give a lot to other people. It's hard to come home and give a lot to your spouse as well. And try to find that balance of, I'm going to work hard. I'm going to do this really, really well. So I'm going to put a lot of time into it. I'm going to give of myself and withdraw a lot of myself at school. When I come home, I do need to give to him as well. But he also is someone who puts deposits back in. So if you don't spend time with the person at home that you love and loves you, you go back to work fully withdrawn, And so trying to find that you talk about work-life balance. For me, work-life balance is I'm going to withdraw a ton at work. I'm going to work nonstop and I'm going to love it. I'm going to hang out with kids and hold them accountable and get on that phone call that's awkward and get that email that really ruins my day, whatever it is. And I'm going to come home and whatever little time I've got, I'm going to spend with him because he needs it. I need to give deposits to him, but he also fills me back up and gets me ready to go the next day. And I think sometimes people come home like, oh, I'm just too tired. And then you not only are you not helping this, but you can't even give to your job anymore. So I would challenge every young professional to make sure it's not about like, I'm going to spend 50% of my time at work and 50% of my time at home. It's about when you come home, are you giving of yourself to also replenish yourself so you can go back to work and give some more? It's going to take a lot of work.
Being intentional with the time that you do have.
Yeah.
I know for me, I think Katie's hit the nail right on the head when it comes to the young band directors wanting to find the work-life balance thing. It's a very hot topic, catchphrase, the work-life balance thing. I remember for me, when my first year teaching, granted I came from out of state and was really fish out of water. But I remember my first year, I didn't even know what was coming. And I couldn't even see nothing about what was happening could I see coming. So it was just a year of just being lost and trying to grasp it. And I spent every part of myself just trying to hang on for dear life. And the second year, I felt as though I could see things coming at me, but then I would still not have any success at those things. It wasn't until a third year of the same thing and just working as hard as I could and just staying totally focused on school and what I was trying to do. It wasn't until that third year that I began to felt some kind of I have my feet on the ground. I'm on solid ground in some capacity now. Not that I'm good, but I'm at least not completely failing at what's coming my way sometimes, And it took 3 years of really cranking to get to that point where I was feeling that way. I think that right now there are many teachers who are new to the profession in a variety of different areas that may, you experience that resistance or that I'm not good at this yet. And, you sort of kind of strap in for the long haul and go, well, I'm going to be good at this in 20 or 30 years, maybe. I'm just going to try to find a work-life balance right now that feels good. And then, and then eventually it'll all work out. And I just personally don't really ascribe to that. I don't think Katie does either. I think anything that you want to be good at is going to be hard and you're going to be bad at it. And if you stop trying to do the thing that you're bad at, you'll never be good at it. You just have to, I mean, how many countless stories are there, in basketball alone, of that Michael Jordan story where they do 1,000 free throws, or they don't leave until the gym until they make 100. All those really great, the people who are great at anything, they go through some kind of that struggle. I don't think that band directors or anybody should expect to be great at anything without putting in that kind of effort.
And we also know that is not the norm right now. That people are not, as a group, are prescribing to that. That's not, I don't think. It seems like it's more on the other side where I'm going to find a way to be comfortable. And I think you just can't be comfortable early on. It's not comfortable.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that because there's so much more promise after the pain, you know, like there's usually nothing at all when you choose comfort except what you don't want to see in the mirror or in your results on the other side of that. Ugh, you guys are such a great couple.
Jesus.
I love that. I love that so much. And I'm so glad that you went there, Katie. Thank you so much for taking the conversation in that direction because
Yeah.
there's so much value in that. And I really do want to dive into that just a little bit more with you guys because that is a real struggle right now. Like it's truly something that's potentially hindering our society to go in a direction that we don't want to go right now. Not realizing that the struggle is good for you. Not realizing that work-life balance is a little bit of a myth. You know, I wouldn't imagine our life in any other way than the way we do it right now. And we literally work together at our 9-to-5 day job marketing. We literally teach at schools together. We literally did the band director thing simultaneously. We've done that for a long time of our lives, but we've made hard rules for ourselves of like, hey, 30 minutes after work, we both know we don't talk about work. But when we were teaching band, 30 minutes after it, we were not talking about band. We're not talking about that show design. But we do have a 30-minute window of let it all out because that's really good for us. And one day I might need it, one day she might need it, but we've made those really hard, strict rules for ourselves so that we're respectful of our time, you know. But there's so many layers to that, and I couldn't imagine if you thought I wasn't working or you were working or not, or just like this, we're just doing. Luckily, we're fulfilled by our work, so it doesn't feel like work, but it's always a grind. It's always going to be that way, and I feel grateful to be able to do it with you. It's awesome. It feels like you guys are the same.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's the other thing is that I don't think that there's really one right answer, even for the same person or the same two people.
Yeah.
Like
We changed drastically.
Yeah, and it's going to continue to evolve. You know, I think the one thing that doesn't change is you have to work hard at things if you want to be great. That's probably one thing that does not evolve. That has been true forever.
That's what we prescribe. I mean, that's what we do, and it's what we've done since we were kids. So I think we're just lucky that we married someone who is in the same vein. And, you know, I also think that if you aren't I should say this, there are people who are like, oh, well, how can you possibly be married to someone who does what you do? And I'm like, I can't imagine being married to someone who doesn't know what I do. I don't feel like I would be able to have a career like I'm having right now where I say, hey, I need to stay at work. And he's like, okay. Mm-hmm. I think that sometimes if you don't do it, you think that it's someone who's taking advantage of you, or like do they really need to stay? I wouldn't say I need to stay, just like to hang out in band hall. You know, like I need to stay because there's maybe someone else on the staff needs to go because they've got something else, or, you know, I don't have kids. So, so let's have kids like, hey, so-and-so's sick. Can you stay? And it's like, well, of course. Like, you know, I've got Evan at home, but he understands. Again, he said it, I don't think any one way to do this fits for everybody. I just think that we are lucky that, you know, if I say I need to do something, he goes, okay. Or if he's like, hey, like on Sundays, Sunday's my we are watching football and I am not working. Saturday. Sunday's like, okay, I need to work. But he'll be like, hey, I need to get this thing out. It's like, okay, we'll get it done. Because he wouldn't ask if he didn't need to. And I think we just have trust. And it all comes back to trust, right? We have trust in our relationship that he wouldn't say he needed to do something unless he really needed to do it. I wouldn't say I needed to do something unless it was important. So I guess so. We just wrap that whole thing up with a bow of trust in our relationship.
Beautiful. But it's so true. Like, I'm going to open that bow up and just
get in there.
But like, I also couldn't imagine like not having that other person who gets it, especially in the profession of being a band director or in the music industry, or any kind of creative, anything like that. It's just so, the support and the understanding, I feel like has helped me get through situations and just be able to thrive and vice versa. And it's a beautiful thing. And I couldn't imagine, same thing. I just couldn't imagine not having that other person who gets it.
Yeah, totally. And like Evan said, it's ever evolving, you know, it's just continually moving forward. And it's like that Will Smith interview that he's talking about, like talking to his grandmother. And he's like, how long have you guys been married? And he's like, 17 years, you know, and we're going through all this stuff. And she's like, oh, you don't even know her yet. It's like 17 years to even fathom you don't even know her yet, you know, and just that just proves it's ever evolving from a couple that was 50 years into their marriage. And then she's just like, oh, you're not even at the 20 mark? Pfft. You're going to be different people in 10 years, you know? So big lesson right there, everybody. Yeah. Keep evolving with it. There is no real balance, and you got to find your own balance within it. That's beautiful.
Do you have any projects going on right now? Anything exciting in the works that you might want to? Katie's like, nope.
Yeah, we know. This is a weird one. It's COVID land, but this is basically for our wrap up. We're going to do an outro of just like, if they want to lead people to a project, to click on this website, check this thing out, or just.
For me, I'm just, you know, I'm continuing to do work in the marching music area with my, you know, clients, and I'm always serving, you know, new band programs and people with different needs. For me, my whole MO when it comes to working with high school bands is, you know, as somebody who, you know, was a high school band director, like I know what it feels like. I will say this, I don't know what it feels like to have a band in this particular environment. That is sainthood to all band directors everywhere that are doing that. But I even without that, I remember how hard so many different things were, and I want to do what I can to help, you know, provide products that are going to be helpful to that band program, not like to like all the band programs. Like I just want to help people. Like for the reason why I got out of band directing to doing what I'm doing now was because I love writing music first. But the second thing is I just want to help more people. You know? It's really important to me. Those times when I can get on the phone with the band director and just like talk them through whatever they're trying to decide. Just the other day, maybe it was last week, I was on the phone with somebody who, one of my band programs that was using my music, and they were in the situation where they personally didn't really want to take their band to contests. They didn't really feel comfortable doing that, but their school district was kind of making them, you know.
Wow.
But so we had a conversation, just like, can you help me like figure out like what's the smartest way to do this? So it was enjoyable for me to talk to that band director and just try to help come up with some kind of solution for them, because there's a million other things to be stressed about, and you know, the music that you're playing with your marching band, this really shouldn't be one, you know. So that's like, for me, that's my whole thing. It's what I'm passionate about on the marching music side of things, you know. So if anybody ever wanted to talk to me, they can just go to my website and we can chat. Easy enough. Can I plug your other stuff? Sure, go ahead.
He's also writing concert band music and a lot of ensembles that are really good. So he won't talk about them, but I'm really impressed with them because he's actually composed, which again, he's embarrassed.
That's a skill set that I'm working to develop. But I am happy to say that there's some ensemble arrangements, some transcriptions, and a couple of grade 1, 2, 3 compositions that are going to be coming out.
Yes, that's super exciting.
Yes.
Continuing to do those sorts of things as well. That's been super fun and learning and growing and all of that as well. So
they're really good. I think they're really good, especially for educational bands. So I don't have anything cool going on, so I'm just going to keep bragging on him.
Hey, you know what? We were talking earlier. It's like when he succeeds, I feel joy and I feel success, and vice versa. Yeah. And it's the same thing. You root for each other, you support each other, and
now, let's be real. You probably had the laptop fixing all the work anyway, so you take half credit. So.
No, this is all him. I won't do that ever again.
You wrote it in the middle of the night and slid it under the pillow.
Not touching anything.
But you know it passed the approval test. So guys, you know it's good work out there.
That's awesome though. I'm excited to check it out for sure. So that is at VanDoren-music.com?
VanDoren-music.com.
Okay. We hope you enjoyed this episode with Katie and Evan VanDoren. Make sure to go to VanDoren-music.com to hear Evan's arrangements, original compositions, and more. You can follow them on Instagram at Evan VanDoren and at Katie VanDoren. Make sure to subscribe to the Mind, Body, and Pockets podcast on YouTube, Apple, Spotify, or wherever you listen to podcasts. Thanks again for the support, and as always, keep taking steps to level up your life.